some brown liquor conversation like we normally do every 2 weeks or so, and we post this stuff online because we drink a little bit of brown liquor.
Right.
We just do that and have our conversation, and there's nothing that's so waxed,
right,
to be so like one particular topic or whatever. But we bring up so many different things that we just wind up just having conversations, just like we used to do on our front porch. And we just decided here one day we're going to record it, some of the stuff that we say, and we're going to try to keep it, just right around 20 to 25 minutes or so for each episode. Because, when you're sitting around, you're on YouTube. Now, this is our format, is to have conversation. So conversation lasts for a while. We don't have like this specific topic that we're going to just pounce on.
Right.
So we just conversate, and we invite everybody who's around that comes and join in this format and see what we're doing to actually add comments and just be a part of the brown liquor conversation, and we welcome that. So here we go.
Yep, I agree 100% there. We have, everybody has opinions, and I think and insights and
our thoughts, our opinions. I mean,
share with the world. Even if your opinion, you share it with the world. So this is the direction we decide that we want to go. We're not ashamed of the things that we stand for. We're not ashamed of the things that we enjoy. I don't know about you, but I'm not ashamed of it.
Nope.
But that's how it rolls sometimes. But man, how was your week?
Our thoughts and our opinions trickle down by the ton, and opinions like a butthole.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Everybody, yep.
So there you go. If you want to just join in, go on ahead and join in. I don't care what you say. As a matter of fact, one of my good buddies, and he just called right before we started the record tonight.
Yeah.
He called in, man. He's got an issue with the rebel flag, and he's a white guy.
Yeah.
But he's got an issue with what we had to say about the rebel flag on that last episode. He has a serious issue about that. And
was he a guy you talked to tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. He was a guy. He went to go jam with a friend of his, played some bass and stuff like that. We get into music and all that kind of stuff.
But that's the thing about it. I have a good friend that, me and him totally different about the flag and stuff.
The rebel flag, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, that just it. I mean, that doesn't define our friendship. I'm pretty sure it doesn't define.
Because of the fact of the matter is, man, we met back in the 80s, and we've been tight since then. I mean, he lives in Kansas.
Right.
And we still keep in touch now. We can do it even more so now because of technology.
Right.
So we keep in touch even more so now, and he's been chiming into our brown liquor conversation episodes, and he's been digging some of them. He says some of them been funny as hell, and and this one with the flag, he had a little bit of an issue with it because he just figured it means something else totally different in some realms of society, in our American society. And what we were trying to bring was the historicity,
right?
The history of it toward the forefront of where that flag and emblem came from, and how it became to be, and how it stood out as a racial issue that was like, this is where we are as white people, and this is how we stand. And he even brought out another really interesting issue where he said that there were black people who fought under the Confederate flag. And I said, yeah, we know that. And he said he was wanting to apologize, and I said, don't apologize for the words that you use. He said these black people, they were slaves at the time, and they were ignorant,
right,
to the situation. But that's all the hell they knew. And I was like, yeah, that's true. That's all they knew. And you and I probably will bring out more stuff that has happened in history that doesn't get taught in school.
Oh yeah.
Like we talked about before, like John Horse and, those individuals like that. There were quite a few more.
But tell us about John Horst,
see, we touched on a little bit of John Horst.
We did talk about him.
We talked about him a little bit in an episode or two before, and he was this black Seminole, which Seminole people associate with Indians, I guess because of the college. Florida State,
right?
They have the Osceola dude comes around and stick that fucking spear in the ground during the football games, and that's their mascot. But Seminole wasn't just an Indian; that was a group of people.
Right.
That was a tribe. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a group. It wasn't like an Indian tribe, like you would say Crow,
right?
Or you would say Cherokee. You would say Sioux. Apache, Comanche. It wasn't like that. It was this group of people that assimilated within each other to fight against oppression, man.
Yeah.
They fought against oppression, man, and that's what they were about. It was all because you got to understand the American natives. I find it hard to even call them American natives because this fucking place wasn't called American when they fucking pulled up here and started taking over shit. It wasn't called America. It was named after some Italian motherfucker. Americani or Americano.
Americanist, I think.
Americanist or something like that. They named it after that motherfucker. It wasn't even an English name. And England took over the fucking land.
Right.
And that's why I find it hard to call them American natives. I mean, they were natives of this land. They were indigenous.
I'd rather use the word.
They were indigenous of this particular land. Who was here before fucking Moses and Abraham?
Way before. The thing about it, Osceola, Chief Osceola is buried over there in
Fort Moultrie.
Fort Moultrie, yeah.
This is right up the street. If anybody doesn't know about Charleston, South Carolina, or this region, Fort Moultrie is just minutes away, really. It's just minutes away. I mean, you could be there in about 20 minutes if you if you just took your time, you'd be there in 20 minutes to get there to Fort Moultrie, where they have his monument there, to where Osceola, who was like a chief.
Yeah, he was
a chief of the Seminoles or something like that. He was a main person among the Seminole tribe, and I'll just use tribe because, like I said, they were assimilated people.
Right. He's the one that provoked Andrew Jackson to come down to Florida. And Andrew Jackson had a tough time dealing with those guys down there. Chief Osceola, John Horst, Wildcat. He had a tough time dealing with those guys, man. I don't think he had a bad. He became president, but that his Florida campaign wasn't one that he could just sit back and say, hey, you know what? Check it out. I did a great job. Nah, he had a frustrating time dealing with those guys down there. Everybody did. I mean, the Spanish they barely even occupied the place, man.
Man, there was a lot of. I mean, you couldn't.
Those guys down there kicked butt, man.
You couldn't picture it now. You could not picture it, what it looked like back then. Now, but that was just a lot of swampland.
Yep.
And you think about what was that movie that Mel Gibson played in, The Patriot?
Yeah.
They filmed that here in South Carolina. But you cannot picture the way the Swamp Fox and those guys maneuver themselves around in the swamp.
Yep.
During that time when you had this regiment upon regiments, upon brigades of British soldiers trying to march in a line to go fight somebody, and these guys used guerrilla tactics on them.
Yep. And
so you really can't tell when you look at the way things have been built up. Now we have roads and stuff like that, and we have all of this, modern technology that has filled in this land, that you can't see how that the British had such a hard time. So that's what happened to Jackson when he went down there
they didn't even have
Florida.
They didn't even have right maps, so they were just
things weren't as sophisticated or mapped out like you were just mentioning.
I read they even used they wouldn't use Sioux Indians to try to track those guys down, man.
Is that right?
They had a tough time. Those guys just knew how to fight in that element, man. They just knew.
And it was a really, really crazy element. And then you got to think about it. If those guys really did wear, and I'm talking about with Swamp Fox, Francis Marion.
Yeah.
If those guys really did, for the British troops, if they really did wear red coats with white or black pants and, you know, just bright and beating the damn snare drums. Man, you knew they were coming and you
knew it, yeah.
You could pick them the hell apart, you know, with ease. They were stupid son of bitches. And they wound up getting the upper hand in a lot of campaigns and ordeals and in battles.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that same thing happened to us in Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. Yep.
That same thing happened to us in Nam. That same thing happened to the U.S. in Nam. I mean, maybe even Korea too, because we never won that.
No, we didn't.
We never really won anything. We kind of like came to the point where we said, okay, we can't beat these bastards. We're just going to kind of pull out and save face.
Well, with Korea, we pushed the Chinese to come in. When the Chinese came in, they came in like, there's about 3 times more than we were, man. They came in like a flood, man. We pushed those Chinese came in, because we pushed North Korea. I saw a map years ago. We pushed North Korea almost to the border of China. And I don't know what happened. I think MacArthur said something to tick the Chinese off, and they came down. And Vietnam was probably, Vietnam, we won almost like every battle. Almost like, we almost like won almost just about every battle. But think about it, you got to win the population over, man. And then that was something that we couldn't do, man. Because
we were hurting the population. And I think they learned that. And that's why when we're in these campaigns that we are in today with the Middle East, that's why they're trying to really be so careful about not bombing the wrong people, not shooting at the wrong people, not killing the wrong people, meaning civilians.
Right.
And it's so hard in this particular battle because you don't know, because they have this ideal. Now, people don't want to say this shit, but this is fucking religious. They have this ideal where everybody there believe in this ideal.
Mm-hmm.
They all might not be combatants.
Right.
They might not all be combatants, but they believe in this ideal, in this religiosity, in this ideal that they all are a part of. And guess who's the enemy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they're going to do something. I mean, if somebody came here right now who was to come and oppose us and oppress us in some kind of way, and we're saying we don't want to fight,
mm-hmm.
but if you come here and you hurt somebody of mine,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be cooperative with you.
Right.
So that's what we got going on now, and that's what seems to be the situation. It's been for a long time, but shit.
There was one of the mindset of people in the Middle East. I don't know if you consider Iran part of the Middle East, but I was reading something in National Geographic to this day. When did the Mongols came up? Back in the 1200s or something like that?
You talking about like Genghis
Khan
those guys?
and stuff? Yeah. About that time, right? I was reading that
somewhere around
there were villages in Iran still dread the terror of the Mongols to this day.
Because they were such terrorists.
And they have a long memory. The people in that area have a long memory, and they're such. You think about some of the things that we go through, like in this, almost like manual shooting happened about a month ago or something like that.
And it's almost forgotten.
It's almost forgotten. Yeah, it's almost forgotten. Something as terrifying as that, almost like 9/11 in a lot of ways, almost
forgotten.
Yeah. But what Genghis Khan did, for one thing, it showed you the terror of the Mongols, how terrifying they could wipe out a whole. Don't even care, but yet those people still have because they have more of a oral tradition of telling things and handing things down. Well, we don't. They have an oral tradition over there. Like, yeah, your great grandfather, he fought against the the Muslim, the Arab invasion, and they
he
have
got
all
his
these,
nose cut off just for standing
Yeah.
against them and stuff like that.
just and we have Africans have that. They used to have that in a lot of ways. We lost that once we came over here. But shit, man, we oral traditions, man. You remember, you talking with John Horse? There was an oral tradition of John Horse. Maybe we got to post that on the on the YouTube. It's amazing, man, what that guy said to try to get the slaves in Florida to rebel against their slave masters that they destroyed 21 plantations too. History doesn't talk about that. The only rebellion.
Well, history speaks of it. It's just not told.
That's right.
It's just not told. It's just not expressed. It's
Right.
just not in our daily to our educational senses or whatever.
Right.
It's not taught to us that this is some of the stuff that went down when you think about how all of that went.
Right.
Slavery and all of that stuff went, because you got people, man. Let me tell you, God damn it. When Roots came out, I was in about the 4th grade.
Right.
4th or 5th grade when Roots came out. That Roots the series.
Yeah.
And they did that right back then because they had to take Roots and make that a series for about a week long or something like that, or 2 weeks long, for about an hour each night. It took HBO fucking 20, 35 years to figure out that's the way to do a damn good story.
Right.
But Roots came out and there was all this uproar, all this uproar. And you got to understand now, I grew up in an all-black neighborhood, in an all-black school.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have teachers and staff and all of that were white.
Right.
We had some white teachers and staff. And one day, the movie Roots was out, or the miniseries Roots was out.
Right.
A few days into it, our little asses, our little minds and everything, we're talking about it in class and stuff like that. And it wasn't a part of the curriculum at the time. It was just that we were talking about it.
Right.
I'm sure y'all did too in your school.
No, Holly.
Oh, mercy. Man, we got to talking about it. I went to Mary Ford Elementary, and we got to talking about it. And I stopped for a few seconds because somebody was talking about, I think it was my teacher was talking about, African kings and queens and all of that kind of stuff. I stopped and thought about it for just a few seconds. My little 8-year-old and 9-year-old mind said, how in the fuck did a couple of few white motherfuckers in a boat go over there and catch so many goddamn black people at one time when these motherfuckers, when y'all talking about they were warriors and kings and all, who in the hell would win that battle? I don't care if you had a musket.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win against those fucking spears and arrows in that situation in their territory.
Right.
Guess what you come to find out? That the black Africans were selling black Africans.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Yep.
So slavery goes back way before it happened.
Way before you
this that it landed on this shore.
And the Arabs had a slave trade going on too. That's not hardly talked about. Matter of fact, you go to India. There's a part of India where it's like a region of India, small like a city, wherever like that, full of black people. Full of black people. You can confirm on YouTube. You can look at. First time I heard about that when Obama became president, and they interviewed somebody. I said, "Well, wow." And they were more of a warrior class, but it was like the thing was that they even went there through a slave trade. Iraq has 180,000 black Iraqis. I only saw one story about it. That's how I learned about it. 180,000 black Iraqis, man. You know what they're called by the Arab Iraqis in the southern, because they're mostly in the southern part? They're called slaves. You go to Saudi Arabia. Remember, that one girl, that Somali girl who's kind of like in the circle of Richard Dawkins and all that. You ever seen her? Can't think of her name.
Ian something.
Something like that.
Ian something.
She said that she was in Saudi Arabia and they were calling her slave in Saudi Arabia.
That I can't remember because she's Muslim. They got out of the Muslim tradition.
She became like a legislator up there in was it Denmark or something?
Yeah, that's where she's living now.
Yeah.
Man, you know something? Just a little side note that people probably didn't notice. It was a little side note back in the day when Michael Jackson was still alive. You remember he went through his second trial of he didn't go through a trial the first time. He just kind of paid everybody off their first child molestation accusation. Then the second time he went through the trial. When he got done with that trial that second time, that motherfucker moved out there to the Middle East, and you know where he went to? And I'll try to remember exactly where it is. He went to a place where they use little boys as slaves to ride those fucking those camels.
Dubai?
No, it's not Dubai. It's like almost sound like Yemen or something like that. Some kind of name like that he went to. And he went there to go fucking hide or live or something like that.
Right.
And there they had little boys. Little boys as slaves riding those camels as jockeys for those camel races. And nobody even put two and two together to say that Michael Jackson probably was a fucking piece of shit. That he would pick that place of all the goddamn places in this goddamn world to go live. He picked a place that had little boys as slaves.
Yes.
To go hide out.
And you know, and slavery is still a part of that culture in a lot of ways. There was a story about this girl who was like this Egyptian couple came to the United States. And they brought this girl as a slave. And this girl, she lived in the garage. Now all she did all day for 7 days a week was basically clean up. They took her to Walt Disney, to Disney World, Disneyland, one of those two. And during the court, they says that her job was to carry the bags for the family and stuff like that. So what happened was the family
that was their custom.
Yeah, the family sold her to slavery. The family was so poor in Egypt, they sold her into slavery to this couple, and the couple went to jail for that. And that girl, she's free now, beautiful Arab girl. But yeah, it was like a neighbor saw her.
I bet she did more than carry bags. Shit, I'm sure she did more than carry bags. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't bullshit me because that's the same thing that happened here in the U.S. with fucking slave women, and they try to say, okay, well, this black woman is this and that, and black people are less than this and that, but they still ain't gonna fit.
Yeah, it's not gonna fit.
No.
Yeah, we drink Canadian Mist too.
Yeah, and they said this black person is, 1/5 of a human being,
right?
But goddamn, if those slave masters didn't fuck them.
Shit.
Well, who's that one president? What's that president?
Oh, Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson?
Yeah. Shoot, man. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah.
I mean, how many black people got the name Washington now too?
Man, but have the black population named after Washington. Seriously, man, I think they're more black Washington than probably white Washingtons.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Johnson's, man, remember it was 1 year, man, the NBA had like 32 people named after Johnson's, man. They had on the NBA roster throughout the whole league, 32 people, man, with the last name Johnson.
Man, when I was in the Air Force, I had a captain came up to me. He was some kind of captain in my command.
Right.
And he looked at my name and he was like, what? I never heard of that name before. He said, Nesbitt? He was like, I never heard of that name before. That's the first time I'm like, this dude's a captain in the Air Force. He had to have heard everything by now. That was the mindset as a young man.
Yeah. I
thought this dude had to hear about everything, but to come to find out, and I even knew before then that Nesbitt is Irish. And I would imagine that anybody that is black, Afro-American,
which I like.
Negro-American.
Afro-American is the only one that I don't even like the term African-American. I like
Africans don't like African-American.
No, they don't like African-American. Afro-American is the one I like because one thing when you say Afro-American, you're saying you're a descendant of the slave trade. You have kind of like a connection with Afro-Cubans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Colombians, Afro-Mexicans. All these people have, but being I feel separate under African American. You know, I'm not used to the term Afro-Cubans has an interesting history also, man. I didn't know this, man, but the United States went down there and messed things up for African Cubans down there when they, after what happened with Teddy Roosevelt and the main exploding in
the Spanish American War.
Yeah, the Spanish American War and stuff like that. Because reading people history of the United States, there was concern in the press back then of Cuba, of black people in Cuba having leverage in that government. There was concerns about that.
Well, fuck, there was concerns about black people having leverage in the government here.
Yeah. But it was big time because there was called to annex Cuba. It was a long time it was called to annex Cuba.
Yeah.
Cuba was just the country.
Cuba.